to the Moi Ploy Boys Dynasty Podcast, the greatest podcast that you didn't want or ask for. And now introducing your hosts, Jake the Gluten-Free Karras and Peter Cheater P-Goo Hot Sizzle O'Donnell.
Hello and welcome into the Moi Ploy. It's your boy Jake the Gluten-Free Karras. Alright, we have not gotten too far into this rookie draft since the last time we spoke. 3 picks have been made. One insane, I don't even know if the word blunder covers how dumb of a pick was made. And, you know, and a trade went down as well. An interesting trade. So let's go ahead and break it down. Here comes the big board. Boom. All right. We have got the 2-9 was taken Dameon Pierce. Dameon Pierce, not an awesome prospect, but lands in a great spot. Decent draft capital in the 4th round. He's the kind of guy that could absolutely play himself into a starting role behind a very ascendable depth chart. He needs to get past the ghost of Marlon Mack, the ghost of Rex Burkhead, the ghost of Royce Freeman, some dude named Daria Gumbawale, and these other 2 people who probably don't even start on special teams. Absolutely doable. He could be their 1st, 2nd, and 3rd down running back. He's got good pass blocking. They may not even have another choice because of how desolate that backfield that running back room currently is for Houston. And I was honestly shocked that he was still there after getting past a running back needy team, Ray, 3 different times, and another running back needy team, Peter, another time right here. Give me the guy with the most likely, or the 3rd most likely starting job in this draft, behind Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker, of course. And then we have all right, so let's take it back. We are going to go, where's the league? I know there's a way to see draft results. Okay, don't care. I've already seen that draft result. I want to see the previous draft results. All right, whatever. I believe it was like the 3rd round or maybe 4th round. Maybe even 5th. I don't know. But it was basically Jim reached like 5 rounds deep in our startup so that he could get the Slim Reaper, the Philadelphia Flunky, something Smith. I don't even know his name because he just got wrecked when the man, A.J. Brown, decided he was going to come to town and flex on Devonta Smith. Remembered his name there. Devonta Smith's getting flexed on, baby. Look, dude. Devonta Smith lost his job as the alpha when A.J. Brown came to town. And you reached on him. And the reason that the reach hurts is it's because, like, you could have had someone awesome and Devonta Smith later, but instead you chose to just have Devonta Smith. And here, you have done it again, Jim. You took Sam Howell. Taking a quarterback was probably a good choice for you. You've got Aaron Rodgers, who could retire in a few years. You've got Jalen Hurts, who could lose a starting job this year or next. And you've got Jared Goff, who's like almost definitely going to lose his job next year. You need to start thinking about replenishing your quarterback room. Good thought process. However, we get to the execution, and you take 5th round draft choice Sam Howell. Washington knew that. I think Washington knows that Carson Wentz is probably not the long-term answer for them. The 1st round came. They could have taken Kenny. They traded up. They could have taken Kenny Pickett. Did they do that? No. This guy is not our guy. The 2nd round came. Malik Willis, Desmond Ridder sitting there. Nah. Third round came. Desmond Ridder goes. Malik Willis, I think, goes. Matt Corral goes. And the Washington said, nah, we're good. The fourth round came. Fucking Bailey Zappi comes off when they already have an absolute stud in Mac Jones. Washington still says, nah, we don't need any of these quarterbacks. The fifth round comes. Washington looks at their draft board and they're like, God damn it. This dude's still on the board. Our fans are probably going to lose their freaking minds if we don't take him because he's still here in the fifth round. We already took a running back. Can we get a receiver? No, we already took a receiver. Are there any tight ends? No, we've already got like 2 mediocre tight ends, and all the good ones have gone off the draft board already. Well, do we have any defensive needs? No, our defense is honestly pretty solid. Like, the players that are available on the board are probably not going to be difference makers for us. And there's like a 0.0005% chance that Sam Howell is good. Yeah, sure, it's a fifth round pick. What the hell? It's worth this 0.005% chance. Sam Howell, first, is not going to start this year. Because Carson Wentz has owed like $30 million guaranteed. So if they cut him, it's like lighting $30 million on fire. He's not going to get cut. He could get injured. But like, you know who's going to be starting after Carson Wentz if he gets injured? Taylor Heinicke. You know what? Because Taylor Heinicke, let's look up Taylor Heinicke. Taylor Heinicke had a decent, what amounts to be a rookie season, you know, like his first real season starting. He had a decent season. He gets about a 65% completion percentage, 3,400 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions. If this had been Trevor Lawrence's stat line, you're fucking thrilled. Oh, not to mention that he ran for 300 yards. That's huge. If this had been Trevor Lawrence's stat line, you're absolutely thrilled. Unfortunately, it's not. Trevor Lawrence sucks, the fat one. But like, there's no guarantee that Sam Howell gets past Taylor Heinicke. None. And next year, Carson Wentz is owed $0 guaranteed. They're likely going to cut him or trade him for like a 6th round pick or whatever they can get for him. And do you know what's going to happen? They're going to trade up in the 1st round and grab a good quarterback instead of handing the keys over to Sam Howell. Then again, Washington is incompetent, so that it's not outside the range of outcomes that Sam Howell gets a starting gig. But like, it's massively unlikely to happen. You've got no reason to take Sam Howell here, Jim. And here's the problem. You had a 210, and a 210 has value. It has value. Players you could have added David Bell onto your squad. David Bell is going to be a slot wide receiver for Deshaun Watson if they don't resign Jarvis Landry. A slot wide receiver for Deshaun Watson. Now I'll take a 3rd string quarterback. Okay. Wan'Dale Robinson, slot wide receiver for starting wide receiver for New York Giants. Now I'm good. You only have 2 startable tight ends, Travis Kelce, Dawson Knox, and Knox is kind of like the rich man's version of Robert Tonyan. Most of his fantasy production last year came off of touchdowns. He only really had, I don't even think he didn't crack 700 yards. I know that much. I'm not even sure if he cracked 600, to be honest. You could have Trey McBride, great landing spot. Yeah, I don't like taking tight ends in the draft, but at least you're doing something that's like almost guaranteed to add value to your team in a couple of years. Could have had Isaiah Spiller. Sure, Isaiah Spiller might not even be the 2nd string running back on the Chargers. They might re-sign Justin Jackson, who has like over 5 yards per carry on his career as a backup. But if they don't re-sign Justin Jackson, you've got freaking running back 2 for Los Angeles Chargers. And if something happens to Eckler, he's a league-winning type of running back. Jalen Tolbert, wide receiver 3 in Dallas for Dak Prescott, seems pretty good. There's a chance he could jump Michael Gallup in a year or two. Gallup is on a semi-team friendly deal. They could trade him. They could cut him. They could, if they like Jalen Tolbert, they might give Michael Gallup the Amari Cooper treatment. Just like, see ya. You could have had Tyler Algier. All he's got to get past is 32-year-old Cordell Patterson, whose production coming down the stretch, not quite 12, 13 points, not quite 14 points, 4 points, 8 points, 7 points, 2 points. Yeah, he could get past that dude. He could definitely get past that dude. You could have Brian Robinson timeshare with Antonio Gibson, potentially. Tyrion Davis-Price could be the starter. For some reason, the San Francisco, they took him in the 3rd round. No one knows why. They pulled a Jim here and reached on a dude that would have been there for them in the 5th. Whatever. Khalil Shakir, 5th round pick, yeah, but draft capital doesn't really matter for wide receivers. And I'm pretty sure Gabe Davis was like a 5th round pick. Gabe Davis, as much as the hype is out of control with this dude, he's never had a single season over 600 yards. Khalil Shakir could pass this guy. Could absolutely pass this guy in the depth chart. There's so many good options. Kyren Williams. Jelani Woods, like Indy doesn't really have an awesome tight end right now. There's a chance Jelani Woods catches a couple touchdowns his rookie season. Pierre Strong, New England's always turning over their running back room. Hassan Haskins, if anything happens to the big boy Derrick Henry, the Yeti, Hassan Haskins could take over Derrick Henry's job. It's possible. Tyquan Thornton could end up ascending to be the wide receiver 1 in New England. New England doesn't have an awesome depth chart. Tyler Beatty. This he's built well for his size. Like, he's not a big dude, but he's also compact, which is good. Gives him injury durability. Gus Edwards is not a pass catcher. J.K. Dobbins is not a pass catcher. Tyler Beatty is a pass catcher. He's probably going to come in and take over that 3rd down role. All options that you could have had instead of going someone who's not going to add any value. You could have even traded the 2022 210. You could have traded for a 2023 second. Most people would probably take you up on that because they're looking at the board and they're like, yeah, there's still a lot of guys on the board that I really like. But you just flushed a ton of value here for yourself. And I don't understand why you would reach that far on a dude that's probably going to be there for you at the 401. I don't get it. So anyway, then I make a trade. Then the trade that gets done is Tyler Boyd for the 301 and a 2023 4th round pick. I traded Tyler Boyd kind of on the cheap because I saw that my guy was still on the board. Tyler Boyd's probably worth a mid to late 2nd round. He's got a good job security attached to a great offense with a good young quarterback. He's still in the prime of his career for the next 2 to 3 years. But yeah, I was willing to trade him on the cheap because I see my winning window as in 2 or 3 years when I'm going to start winning and competing for a championship. And Tyler Boyd, I don't want him to live out his prime on my squad just losing. So I'd rather get someone who's going to help me win in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So I was willing to make the trade. I went out and I said, there's still a guy on this draft board who's got a ton of upside, and if he hits, great. And in the same way that Jim could make me look like a total idiot, Matt Corral has a chance to break out. He's got, and this is who I think Jim should have taken, because Jim does have a quarterback need. I think he should have taken Matt Corral because Corral has got a head coach who's in the hot seat, a starting quarterback who's known to make a boo-boo a time or two in Sam Darnold, and he's like PJ Walker is a 2nd string quarterback, a very easily ascendable 2nd string quarterback with very little experience. starting games, whereas Taylor Heineke has a whole season in that offense. So yeah, there's a decent chance that Matt Corral starts. Much better chance than Malik Willis starting games. Probably a better chance than Desmond Ridder starting games. Is I don't think Atlanta's going to feel pressure to feed Desmond Ridder to the Wolves because Atlanta knows they're rebuilding. Like their head coach isn't in the hot seat because he inherited a hot piece of shit team. The front office knows that. They hired him to coach their guys through this hot piece of shit season and into the promised land later. They're probably going to give him the 2023 season to see some improvements, and if they don't, they'll axe him. And that's when you're going to see maybe a panic switch to putting Desmond Ridder in there, more likely. But if they like what they see at practice, they could definitely put him in this year. Why not? Get him some actual experience this year if you can. Anywho, I think that's the situation for Matt Corral. Now, Peter Cheater Pigu Hot Sizzle O'Donnell on the clock at the 3-2. I think there's still a lot of exciting players. Peter really needs a running back. I could definitely see him going Tyler Algier. Definitely see him going Tyrion Davis-Price. Possibly Brian Robinson, but I think he would drift towards one of these two guys who are more likely to inherit a much more valuable role in their offense. I could also see him going someone like David Bell, Jalen Tolbert, Khalil Shakir, Tyquan Thornton. Probably too early for someone like Velus Jones. Velus, I don't know. David Bell, another great option. I really like David Bell. But down kind of in this third round, I think you just draft for upside. So Peter's probably going to take the player who he thinks has the highest upside. I'm not sure if he's going to draft for need. I don't think he addressed it earlier with the Rachaad White. I don't think Rachaad White's going to get on the field much. Tom Brady notoriously hates rookie running backs pass blocking for him. And that's kind of Rachaad White's gig there. It would be catching balls out of the backfield. Jordan Chaul, again, probably going to go best player available. I could see him going someone like Jalen Tolbert, Tyler Algier, David Bell, Trey McBride. He's got a good, solid young team. Jordan does. He doesn't have a ton of depth at running back. He's pretty much got Javonte Williams, Kareem Hunt, and Antonio Gibson. And Antonio Gibson just got his job hacked. So I actually think a great player for Jordan to go would probably be Brian Robinson. Just go ahead, save your season now instead of having to pay through the nose for Brian Robinson when Antonio Gibson gets injured. Save your season now. Brian Robinson at the 303. Good value there. You're not overpaying. He has great draft capital. He's got decent tape. He's got great footwork. Good size. It's a pick that makes sense. Rich here. Rich does not have softball guy does not have a huge depth chart when it comes to wide receiver, if I remember correct. He had very little quarterback depth. Only has Burrow, Wilson. Mayfield's probably going to get to start some games early, but then he'll have to address it if when bye weeks come and Baker Mayfield's not starting and Burrow and Wilson are still hanging around. He's got a decent running back room with Swift, Akers, Chubb. No one else really. Miles Sanders, sorry. And his wide receiver room desperately needs help. He's got Deebo Samuel, Michael Gallup, Hunter Renfrow. Hopkins has been suspended. Ridley's been suspended. The suspensions have really hit really hit Rich hard. So I think Rich probably needs to go with another wide receiver, look to bolster that room. And what this is going to allow Rich to do is when these suspensions are done, let's say that Ridley comes back next year. Hopefully he comes back. Let's say that Hopkins gets, serves his suspension, comes back next year. And then he's got these two rookie receivers in Jamo Williams and David Bell, Wanda Robinson, Jalen Tolbert, Shakir Thornton, just one of these dudes. Probably like here would be where I draw the line of guys that make sense, like right above Velus Jones. I just think there's a big tier break in potential right here. Velus does have a very ascendable depth chart, but like he'll be a 25-year-old rookie. DJ Moore like just turned 25. Felix Jones is going to turn 25 in like a couple weeks. Like, he's old. You know, he's already in the prime of his career the day that he hits rookie minicamp. So Ray, 305. I could see Ray going with someone like. I think Ray still needs help at running back. Falgier's there. Tyrion Price Davis, Robinson, Isaiah Spiller. I think we're going to see a bit of a run on running backs coming through here at this in kind of this mid threes range. I think it's just basically going to be kind of 3 receivers and then probably 4 or 5 running backs and maybe a tight end to close out this 3rd round. In the 4th round, I definitely think it's going to be just kind of grab your guy. You watched a YouTube video that talked about a dude. That's when you pick him up. You watched a YouTube video that talked about, like, for example, someone who talked about like how good Ty Chandler is and that how he is going to be better and how Alexander Madison only has like 1 year left on his rookie deal and how they're not going to pay him, so they're going to let him go and he's going to sign with a team like Atlanta, take over a starting role there, and then all of a sudden Dalvin Cook his deal's about to, like there's guys who they start looking at the contracts, trying to read the flow of the landscape, and they're like, oh yeah, that guy's going to be the dude in 1 to 2 years. This is where you take your shot on those guys. 4th round. So yeah, and the nice thing for people who don't have draft picks, I think there's going to be a lot of very intriguing rookies who don't end up getting drafted in this draft. And all your fab budget, your off-season fab budget, that's what this is for. It's to spend on the rookies who didn't get drafted because your fab budget will reset at the start of the regular season. Yeah? See that? Your fab budget will reset at the start of the regular season. So spend it all on rookies. I'm probably gonna be blowing mine on rookies. I'll be spending like probably $75 on some undrafted rookie free agent running backs. Like, why not? If you don't use it, lose it. So, and that's why you have a taxi squad for dudes like that. So you'll see on your team down here on this taxi squad, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 empty taxi spots. That's so that guys who sell all their draft picks can still add rookies, slap them on the taxi squad. They're not going to eat up a spot on your roster. So you just click that. Like if Reverend Jordan was a rookie, you could just click that, click taxi, rookies only in the taxi squad. As soon as a rookie year is done, you have to make a decision. Do I move him onto my squad, drop someone else, or do I cut him? So that's kind of the gist of the taxi squad. So I think those 4th round guys, something that makes a lot of sense is going running backs late, because if you get those receivers late, it might take them 2 or 3 years to break out, and in that time, you're just going to be holding them, not knowing whether or not they're going to break out, and they're just going to be eating up a roster spot. And you have someone like Romeo Doubs, and you're like, oh, he's on the Green Bay, but like if he ever develops, like he's got Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback, so I'm just going to keep him on roster. Whereas like, all right, I took like Tyler Beatty in the 4th round, and he didn't get any work his rookie year. He wasn't injured, got healthy scratched a few times. All right, great. I can cut Tyler Beatty at the end of his rookie year. I know he ain't that dude. Running backs, you generally know that they ain't that dude by the end of the rookie year. Tight ends, again, you kind of just have to hang on to them, hope for the best. And quarterbacks too, apparently. 2nd round quarterbacks. Sam Howell, fucking dumb. All right. It's all love. Jim, I know you probably ain't watching this, but I hope you do, because I hope you enjoyed your time at Spotlight. All right, boys. Night-night. See ya.